Hi, thanks for listening to the monthly social here on YouTube. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. It would mean the world to us. All right, hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Take care. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the monthly social Canadian Music Spotlight. I am your host, Guido Perino, welcoming a Canadian treasure. You've been charmed by her, hunted vampires, flown with crows, gone psycho, rumbled, went on space adventures, and even sang Christmas songs. Now she's a champion. So let's rock and roll or die and find out more about our special guest, Bif Naked. Thank you so much for being here, Biff. How are you doing?
Wow, wow, wow. What an intro. Hello. Hello. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Now, the pleasure is ours, and that's what the intro is all about. Biff, where are you chatting with us from today?
Well, I just got home from Alberta where we were touring around doing shows, and we're very excited to be home. This is the best time of year. I'm here in Toronto, and I am very excited to say that we're going to be performing in this area at Casino Rama on
Nice.
the 7th of September. For anyone who wants to come and see us, it's Sister Hazel and Everclear.
Wow. That's got to be a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And you were in Alberta. You've been on the road quite a bit this summer.
Yeah, summertime seems to be like for a lot of the bands, I think in Canada, we're very, very lucky. We do festivals all summer long, and a lot of the same bands we tend to run into and play lots of festivals with, like the Headstones and the Tea
Yeah.
Party and all manner of bands. So it's cool. It's like being at summer camp every year.
Now, being out in Alberta and playing, did you get a chance to kind of go around a bit and check things out where you were?
In a way, I mean, we've been there. Oh gosh, I've been touring since 1990. So I've been there many times before.
Yeah,
It's very rustic. It's beautiful. It's
yeah.
dusty. Yeah, it's magical. Every province in Canada has its beauty.
I was gonna say, has it changed in the times that you've been there?
Oh, certainly. I think every
Yeah.
place definitely has. Even Toronto itself has changed in the
Yeah.
6 years that I've lived here. It's changed a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, we're talking about you being in all these different places. You spent some time in Kentucky in the United States, and then eventually you made your way to Winnipeg. Do I have that right?
That's right. Yes, my
Yeah.
dad moved us from Kentucky, from Lexington, to Dauphin, Manitoba, which is Canada's national Ukrainian capital.
Ah.
And then we finally moved to Winnipeg, where I went to high school and my first year of university.
Now, do you have a favorite place in Canada or North America from all the traveling that you've been on?
Oh, well, right now it's definitely Toronto, of course,
Yeah.
because there's cardinals here, and I love cardinals so much. And the lake is so big and beautiful. I love living on Lake Ontario very much. And yeah, I don't know. I lived in Vancouver for 30 years. A lot of people never thought I would leave Vancouver. But it was nice for me to be here for a little while. Of course, I moved here, and then Doug Ford got elected. So a lot of my friends in Vancouver started making fun of me. They thought that was very funny because they kind of thought it was, I deserved it. But then the pandemic hit, and so that was weird because then there was like stay-at-home orders,
Yeah.
and of course, it's very different. I had to become a different type of driver living here, so that was a skill set that I had to learn because it's very different driving style. Not better or worse, just very different because it's a bigger population and people are more accustomed to being a little more assertive on the highways. So all of those things made for a different learning curve. It's been very exciting.
You you are so nice.
It's been very exciting.
So nice. But hey, Toronto wins and GTA wins. We've got Biff here with us. Look, as far as your music goes, when does your music journey start, or when do you think, hey, I think I've got something that I'm gonna do with music? When is that for you, Biff?
I'm still waiting. To be honest with you,
Ah,
my poor dearly departed dad, he was a dentist and he was a professor. And so when I was accepted at the University of Winnipeg, he was elated. My parents both were. And he thought, oh, finally, my middle daughter is going to find some, structure in her life. And little did he know, me, entering a theater program was like, kind of cheating. I wasn't really good at going to academics. And of course, that all just went to garbage as soon as I got into a band in my first year of university. And I was like, this is great. This is hits all the marks for me.
yeah.
I get to use my poetry and write lyrics. I get to be on the stage and be a performer. Everything works. And I dropped out of school and went on tour. And I am still waiting to return to university and finish my degree, which, of course, I have honorary degrees now,
Right.
which, still can't get me a professorship anywhere, much to my parents' chagrin. Um, but, the thing about it is, I find that being in the arts, I love it. It's just such a wonderful life for me. And I love it. I love every aspect of being on the stage and being a singer, especially when I went into being into a punk rock singer or like an alternative rock singer.
Mm.
I didn't really have to sing very well. I really just had to have something to say. And of course, being such a blabbermouth, I always had something to say. So it was perfect. It was a perfect fit. I didn't really have to know how to sing or carry a tune. I didn't have to read music. Um, and it just worked, and I loved it. And I loved performing, and I still do. I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. Now I kind of envision that I will even expand further, as I get older. I think of more things I want to do. Like I want to expand and do choreography with my singing, and I want to do all these other crazy shticks, which is kind of outrageous. And I don't know if I'm actually losing my mind at the older I get. But I think that being in the creative arts in any way, shape, or form is a fantastic life for any creative person, whether you're a writer or a painter or a dancer or
Yeah.
a singer or anything.
Look, that sounds inspiring, actually, to be honest. And you're talking about, career length and artists and the things that they do or don't. I love it that you're saying I want to expand and do something different, because sometimes we sit here as fans, we sit here and wonder, what are they doing? What are they working on? We're getting and we don't want the same old thing. We love
Mhm.
the older stuff, but we love to see the change and the evolution and the what's next. Listening to you sort of describe some of the things you've done and want to do, what defines your journey in music? What would be the defining thing for you so far?
I think that I'm still trying to search for that with every record. I think that it took me 15 years to put out a studio album, because really the digital age and streaming,
Yeah.
basically, in many ways, was very freeing for so many artists. People thought that it was like, people really do bemoan it, like,
Mm.
oh, how awful, oh, this is such a tragedy. And I just kind of go, really? Wow, were you really making all that much money before? Because I don't know about these other artists, but we basically only get paid to put butts in seats.
Yeah.
So we always relied on touring, and that's really, that's never changed, and it doesn't change. And we still rely on selling CDs or cassettes, because people now, they still want cassettes, things
Yep.
that are tangible, that they want to touch. And you just have to be creative and have faith in your fans that they're going to be willing to buy the quirky little weird things that you are willing to sell to them that
Yeah.
are special. I think that streaming is actually a way that someone in, East Africa can actually hear your song, and they wouldn't have had that opportunity 30 years ago. So I think it's actually magic. It's actually absolutely magical. And a young artist today would never have had the opportunity to get their music out there, whereas today they can. And
Mhm.
so I think that it's really an amazing time, not only to be alive in the world, but to be an artist, because you just never know. The sky is the limit. And, we can sit there and go, well, anyone can be a great singer now because they have all these digital tools. And well, Aretha Franklin or the Rolling Stones, they never had auto tune. They had to work very hard. And yeah, you're right, they did, and so did we. And we had to sing the line 100 times.
Yeah.
And now they don't. How awesome is that? You
Yeah. Are
know
you are you
that
notice so
that's lucky.
you're noticing a different reach now at your fingertips, it sounds like.
Well, I think it's positive. I
Yeah.
think we can sit there and be upset about it, or we can try and look at it as something that's very wonderful. Because you might as well, you really might as well try and find the good in it, because it's not going to change anything. So you
Yeah.
might as well do something great with it.
I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I find it easier access
Yes,
to the artists that I love and to get more from them than I ever did before. But
yes.
having said that, Biff, I still like to have that thing in my hands, the
Hmm.
t-shirt, the CD, the cassette.
Yeah, it's
Right? I
awesome. It's
still like
fun.
it. Like
Of
and
course.
I'm now at the point where I will download the digital version, but
Hmm.
I feel extra special when I get that hard copy and I still have the CD in my hand. So maybe I'm weird, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yes,
You
it is
know?
okay. And you know what? Most of the artists are all weird too.
There we
So
go.
I think they appreciate it.
So look at as we're talking about you, where you've been, some of the your insights here. A lot of folks who I said, yeah, I'm gonna have Biff, she's gonna be on the show. A lot of folks wanted me to ask you questions and they're getting excited about it. Um, it's probably out there somewhere, but when did you adopt the name Biff Naked and what leads to that?
Oh, well, Biff is a nickname I've had since about the eighth or ninth grade. It was a nickname for Beth. Someone mispronounced my name. That's really as simple as that. That's how it happened. And Bif Naked was the punk rock stage name that I got to have, because everyone else had a cool name, all the guys that I knew. And, I was a girl. I wanted to be precocious. I wanted to be provocative and memorable. My very best friend in the world was an exotic dancer. And so, it just made sense. We were like, little, provocative girls, and that was my stage name.
Biff
And so,
Naked.
yeah, that was mine, and it stuck. And all these years later, that's always been my stage name.
That's amazing. Just for something from I'm always amazed with that. Something so simple.
Yeah.
You created this identity around it. And speaking of identities, one of your most popular songs, Spaceman. Who's the Spaceman?
You know what? It was me writing a song on acoustic guitar with my manager in I think it was about 1994 or 95. It was the first song I ever wrote with him. He was frustrated because I had all these, heavy metal boyfriends, these death metal boyfriends. I don't play guitar very well, and I'm terrible at piano. So I always kind of am at the mercy of whomever I'm writing with. And these guys were just like writing this death metal or thrash metal, and I thought it was fantastic. And I was like, oh, listen to this guy wrote this song with me, listen to my lyrics, it's just so fantastic. And he was just like, this is awful, no, sit down, let's write this song. And I was just, I couldn't believe he didn't like my song. So I was like, oh, how you don't understand me as an artist, how this is awful, I can't believe you don't like my songs. And he's like, let's write something. And I wrote something. At the time I was always studying theology. And at the time I was probably oscillating between Taoism and Buddhism, or whatever, Hare Krishna. And I was writing songs about grasping and attachment, and the tiger's whiskers and all these, ideas. And he was just like at his wits end with me, and he said, you sit here, and when you're ready to write something, you let me know. I'm going to go and and get a coffee, and I'll be back. And I couldn't believe it. I just felt so persecuted. I just couldn't believe I was beside myself. I just felt terrible and just so forlorn. And he left the room, and I was just like, I just can't believe my luck. I hate this. I hate my life. I'm so hard done by. And I just thought, if I could be abducted by aliens right now, that's all I want in the world. I just want to escape. And I just thought, Spaceman, if you can hear me, come rescue me. And I thought, Spaceman, rescue me from this. And that's how I wrote the song.
Wow.
I wanted to get out of there. And I wrote it. And he came back, and I sang it to him to the riff that he had written, and that was it. And he came back, and we wrote the song, and that was Spaceman. It was my Calgon take me away moment.
Wow.
Yeah, and it stuck, and that was it. And that was the first song we wrote for Bifficus, the record.
That's wild. That's wild. Again, just, a circumstance, and it becomes a key moment in your career. Now, look,
Yeah,
there's some artists who say, you know what? I wish I'd never wrote this my most popular song because fans always associate me to it. They always want to hear that song.
yeah.
Or they get kind of locked into that sound. I've seen you perform the song live, and it sounded fantastic. The fans
Thank
did go
you.
pretty wild. Uh,
Yeah,
you look like you really enjoyed doing it. How do you feel about performing it?
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love singing it. I love singing Lucky. I love singing I Love Myself Today. Tango Shoes. I never get tired of those songs. I sing them every show. There was a time when I had come back kind of from, there was a period when I had gone through chemotherapy and radiation, and I had to kind of take about 6 months to a year off of touring. And when I had come back from doing shows and started doing shows again, I felt really self-conscious and
Mm.
weird, and I really didn't want to play those songs. I felt like my voice had changed. I felt really not in 100% health. I felt really vulnerable, and I certainly didn't want to sing those songs because everyone was so familiar with the songs.
Right.
I felt like they were going to be able to detect that I wasn't feeling 100%. And so I just really didn't want to perform the songs. But, eventually I felt better, and sang them the same. So with that one little hiccup, I think other than that, I've always loved performing them.
That's
And
awesome.
I always will. Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. No, it's good to hear because sometimes, like I said, some artists are kind of like, oh, I wish they'd listen to this instead of always wanting this. Now, look,
Hmm.
I saw you play live. I saw you this July at the Sobeys Stadium in Toronto, and
Cool.
it was Big Shiny Saturday. What a hot,
Hmm.
it was so hot.
So
Um,
hot.
Look, your segment was spectacular. You came out, you rocked the
Thank
crowd,
you.
you like took control. Now, I had my girls with me. One is 16 and the other is 13.
Oh,
And at the end of the night, they said you were their favorite of all the bands that they saw.
oh, that's
Um,
nice.
does it surprise you that you draw across generations?
Yeah, and I'm really happy. I'm really glad and happy. That was a perfect example. There was a lot of people pointed out to me, you're the only girl on the bill. They put you on first. Every other band gets 90 minutes. You get 30.
Yeah.
And I kind of shrug and go, yeah, so what? So what of it? And they're like, aren't you mad? I go, no, I do 4 hours of autographs. I do a 4 hour autograph lineup, and I do selfie with every person, and I sign autographs. That's the best part of my night. You know what? It doesn't matter to me that I'm only doing 30s. I would like to see all the bands
Yeah.
myself, but you know what? It's okay because I'm able to then do my lineup and meet everybody that wants to talk, and wants to do a selfie, and it's always really emotional. And I'm getting to meet other people that have come with books, and they come with their CDs they bring from home, or they come with their stories, or they're wearing breast cancer survivor shirts, and we get to share a little cry, and I mean, it's really, it's really touching, and it's meaningful, man, and I love it, and I love it. So I always look at it as something very special.
So this doesn't, what you just said, none of this actually surprises me because one of
Mhm.
my girls are pretty intuitive, and one of the things that they said they loved about you was how in between your songs, you had this sweet, gentle voice that you acknowledged people, that you acknowledged fans, the workers, and then other artists. They were just observing and watching and taking in the how you were performing in between the songs even. And I think that left an impression on them from what I could tell. But then they also said, then she's doing that and she's so kind and gentle, but then she rips into this song and she's got this commanding voice and there's so many tone ranges, and they just thought that the whole package was so special. They
Ah,
wanted to know, where does your roar come from when you start singing, when you sound so gentle when you're talking?
oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think that it just comes from, yeah, I think that it just comes from practice. I mean, there was a time when we used to do, I'm going to say like 300 shows a year. And I felt like I felt like I had a voice all day long that always just sounded like this. I mean, I could barely talk all day long. And it was like all day long. I had a really raspy, hoarse voice. I thought I would never get my voice back. But for some reason, about 9 o'clock every night, my voice just the muscles just worked. It was muscle memory, and I could sing like it just worked every night, and I couldn't believe it. And the rest of the time, I sounded like Brenda Vaccaro, or like these raspy other these actresses from the 70s. But I don't know. I think that it's just muscle memory. I feel really lucky. I've never had a like an operatic voice,
Yeah,
but I've been very fortunate to have. Oh, here's Grace. Sorry,
Grace.
I've got this little
Oh,
munchkin
wow.
here.
Hi, Grace.
Munchkin, hi. And Grace
That's
has had,
awesome. Hi, Grace.
hello, you're yawning. And
Yeah,
Grace
we've
has
had
had a very, very poopy bum all day.
oh no,
So
Grace.
I've had, I've had to monitor her quite a
That's
bit
okay.
today. That's all right. She's got,
We've had pets on the show before too, so that's
you
awesome.
have?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They're so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
But
had guest appearances from dogs, cats. They just show up and we
amazing.
go with it. We go with it.
Yeah. So fun.
I was gonna say to you, what was your favorite thing about the Sobe Stadium show in Toronto? I think it's almost I heard, man, I love meeting people. Was there
Yes.
something else? Was there something else about that stadium? Did you like the stadium?
I loved it. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. And I think that it is amazing that they have decided to do different shows there, variety of shows, music shows. Um, yeah, it was very special. It was really special to perform there.
Yeah, I loved it. There was another fan in the audience. Her nickname was Slayer. And she when you were on, I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm supposed to be interviewing her shortly." Gave her my cards. I listen in if you're a fan of hers, right? And
Very
she's like, "Well,
cool.
would you ask her a question?" She wants to know, because your music was used on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, if you were a Buffy fan.
Oh, absolutely. And that was such an amazing opportunity for us because we got to obviously meet the actors. And we were big fans. It was hard not to be starstruck on the set. And Sarah Michelle was so cool. She was so polite and so gracious to us on the set. And Seth, of course, was just, I mean, it couldn't have gone better. It was just a dream come true to be able to perform two songs on their show. So it was just a dream come true.
There we go. So Slayer, when you're listening to this, there's your question, and she is a fan. Now, look, speaking of shows, when I opened this show, I dropped a whole bunch of TV and other shows that your music has been used on. Is that something you were actively promoting, or did the shows kind of call you up and say, "Hey, Biff, we want to use your song"? How did that kind of all play out on any of them?
I think, yeah, I think we get asked all the time. Um, I think that I think there's people that it's their job to find songs that go on their shows. And we've turned down a lot of stuff too in the past. So I think it has to be the right fit.
That's good. A
Um,
little bit of both then.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It has to be the right fit.
Now look, earlier, and we've been having fun and talking music, and you've dropped this a couple of times as we're talking. We plan production dates, release dates, touring promos, etc. But obviously in life we can't plan everything. You took on cancer, and congratulations for coming out on top on that. I have many family and friends who've had their own battles as well. You're looked as an inspiration, not just for music, but also for that, for folks who are facing their own adversity. What's the message to them? What would you tell them, Biff?
Well, I say to everybody, all you can really do is just put one foot in front of the other. It's really hard for all of us in life not to future surf. And, we all worry, we all, think about what's going to happen, what's coming. We have anticipation. And I think that most of our anxiety really does come from anticipation. And all you can do is just worry about what's in front of you today. All we can ever do is just get through today. That's it. That's it. That's all your job is just to get through today. Worry about the morning in the morning. That's it. One foot in front of the other. That's it. Every day, just one foot in front of the other. They say one day at a time because that's all you can do. And I say it to patients and to patients' families, just one day at a time, literally.
So we can take some inspiration in that one day at a time. Did your battle with cancer change your approach to music at all?
I think in many ways it changed my approach to life because it forced me to be flexible. And I think that it forces a lot of people to be flexible. Most of us are very busy. We have busy families. We're busy with school. We're busy with work. We have to drive to the store. We have to walk the dog. We have to, everybody is, busy to the max. Every hour, from the minute your alarm goes off in the morning to the bus stop, everything is timed out perfectly
Yeah.
because life is very busy for people. And cancer and any health crisis you're going through, man, you cannot predict what's going to happen. And you literally have to be flexible. You have to go, well, yeah, I couldn't help it. You can't predict what's going to happen. So it forced me to be flexible and to go, yeah, I did my best. And you can just have to roll with the punches. And that's something that you can't be prepared for. But once you learn to just kind of be flexible with whatever happens and kind of roll with it, you can apply that to every area in your life. And hopefully that's something that sticks with you, and, from that point forward. And it's good. It's good learning. It really is.
You know what? I want to thank you for letting us ask that question and for sharing that with it. It is something very personal. So thank you for letting us in a little bit. We're
Of
hoping that that
course.
does help somebody out there as they start to listen to you talk about that. Talking about personal, when we listen to you and your music, how close are we getting to you personally when it comes to your music?
Well, I always used to laugh because a lot of my stuff is almost all of it is autobiographical. I guess I only write it from my perspective, and in many ways I kind of go, I guess I don't have much of an imagination because it's really about my life. But I think all of us can relate to it, whether it's songs
Mhm.
about heartbreak or longing or betrayal or anything. I think we've all been through it all. Uh, and even though people are from different walks of life and different tax brackets or socioeconomic brackets or different upbringings, everyone has really experienced the same things, whether it's falling in love or heartbreak or loss. And that there's that mutuality that everyone shares, and that's our shared humanity. And that's why music connects people, really, and that's why art connects people. And I think now more than ever that's always important to remember. And I think that's what's going to get people through these crazy these crazy times in life, because it's not getting easier to live in the world,
Mhm.
it's getting harder. And I think more than ever we really need to try and maintain a connection to one another and to just, our communities and our neighborhoods.
Thank you. And again, thank you for helping us do that with your music and with your story. Some of your story is on your website, herroyalmajesty.com. And we just saw Grace. We just saw Grace, your dog there. But you dedicate a
Yeah.
large space for pet awareness. Tell us how that started and what that's about.
I think that I've always been an animal lover. I think I always will be. Um, I don't know. I think that of all the charities that I can be a part of and lend a voice to, I think that senior pets get overlooked a lot, whether it's cats and dogs or horses or pigs or whatever it is. But especially the pandemic kind of exacerbated the problem that already existed. A lot of the pets that wind up in shelters are neglected, or unhoused animals, strays, and they're usually older animals that people have discarded. And so I always say, look to the shelter system first before you get a puppy, and try and see if there's a senior dog that might be a better fit for you and your family before you get a puppy. You never
How
know.
how kind. And you're right, the pandemic, after everybody started leaving their homes, you had a flood of animals that went into shelters because I don't know, maybe they didn't foresee that happening and they just didn't have time for the pet anymore, and that's very unfortunate. So thank you for the work
Hmm.
you're doing there. So look at again on your website, herroyalmajesty.com. I love that. Great, great
Her Royal Majesty's Records. Her
Her
Royal
Royal
Majesty's
Majesty.
Records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um Fans can also pick up your book, I Bifficus. Metaphorically, it's you naked as you talk about your life. Um as you're doing that, as you're putting that together, was it hard to get through some of those stories?
I thought it would be easier than it was because I had already written a lot of that stuff into
Yeah,
songs. But it certainly is much easier to write it metaphorically or poetically, and then to have to kind of factually retell these stories was more difficult than I anticipated. Um, but I worked with a great editor. First and foremost, was my manager of 32 years, Peter, and then of course Jim Gifford, who was at HarperCollins at the time. And I had started. I think we were starting editing in 2013. It came out in 2016.
yeah,
Hard to imagine. And now it just seems like I'm going to have to do a revision because so much has happened in 10 years. And I can't believe it was, that the story like left off 10 years ago.
yeah.
And a lot has happened since then. So it's just, I'm happy that I got to read it to my dad. At the time, he was in palliative care, and so to be able to go through the manuscript with him was something that was just absolutely magnificent and so special. I'm so grateful to have had that chance. And my dad was hilarious with my manuscript. He kept falling asleep and telling me it was boring and all this stuff, and laughing hysterically at these stories. But it was great to be able to interview my parents for some of these key moments in the story that I didn't know, especially surrounding my adoption,
Hmm.
which was great. And now living here in Ontario, I'm very proximal. I'm very close to my birth mom, which has just been, a real blessing in my life, and to be close with her and my sister and brother here, is hilarious. And to be able to tell my sisters in Winnipeg about it is quite hilarious too. My wish is that they can all meet, because I personally think it's quite funny, but I don't know if it'll happen, but I would love that.
I mean, with your dad, like just some proud moments. I can only imagine proud moments as you guys are having sort of that exchange. And you've given us even some more tidbits if anybody hasn't read the book, to kind of check it out because there's some there's just the stories are intricate and I think folks can relate with them on different levels. And you just kind of said, are we going to get a revision, Biff, soon, or are we going to get some add-on chapters, or?
I think so. I think that there's definitely going to be another book coming. I have written a book of poetry
Cool.
that is going to be coming out. I don't know when.
Okay. Okay.
I I have too many projects at once, so I think we're going to work on the documentary right now. But eventually there'll be a revision.
Tell us about the documentary.
So the documentary they've been working on for 3 years, and I don't know what to expect. I haven't seen any of the edits. Jennifer Abbott is the director. Most people know her from The Corporation, and she has a magnificent documentary also called The Magnitude of All Things, which is a beautiful piece of film that is probably still up on the NFB website if you wanted to go look at that. It is an interesting uh, piece of art that really shows the parallels between climate grief and her sister's death from
Hmm.
breast cancer. It's fascinating, and to have my story kind of shown through her very feminist lens
Yeah.
was for me terrifying in many ways. I didn't know what to expect. Um, I didn't know Jen before we started working, and of course now I'm deeply in love with her, and so grateful to Electric Panda for working with her, and of course choosing me as a subject for a documentary at all. I mean, it was very
Yeah.
humbling that they wanted to do that. So I don't know what to expect. We were going to have it
All right.
by TIFF this year, but I think it'll be next year for sure. Maybe by Sundance, but by TIFF for sure next year, 2025. So we've gone to Europe, we've gone to Mexico, we've gone on tour, and we have done a
Wow.
lot of filming. Yeah, I don't know what to expect right
There's
now.
so many things that we got to look forward to here. We got maybe a book revision. We got the documentary. Look and on your website, you also have all your music available. But in
Yeah.
2023, you released Bifficus 25, where you commemorate 25 years of your iconic Bifficus album. And there's
Yes.
three bonus songs on that are didn't go to streaming. As you pull that together and you're doing these reflections, what do you freeze in a moment as you're putting that together and think back on any particular memory?
Oh my gosh. The making of Bifficus was just such an incredible time in my life to begin
Yeah.
with. Um, Working with Glenn Rosenstein, who was our producer, was just such a gift, such an opportunity. It's hard to describe in a short amount of time. I was a young artist. I was so impressionable at that time, and we were working with Sony 550 initially, and I thought that nothing could go amiss, and I was so proud. It was Celine Dion's label, Oh my God, here I am. It was Celine Dion, and I was like, I can't believe it. Like, this is it. I've arrived. And of course, they shelved the record right after they made it. And I was like, oh, it's
What?
over. I'm going to go back to university after all. And, it was trying to then put it out in Germany with Epic. And then, we put it out with Aquarius in Canada, EMI. And then it was Jason Flom came and we put it out with Lava Atlantic in the States. And it was just like, it was such a journey
Hmm.
for that record. It was the little engine that could, and it was amazing because it was transformational in so many different ways. And songs like Choti that couldn't get played on the radio in many states for a variety of reasons. And then, some of these really innovative college radio stations in America and Canada that would champion some of these songs. And then Moment of Weakness was the chosen song for MTV, but it wasn't the chosen song for Canada. And it was just like so many different little dramas that go with with a release. It was fascinating. And it really sucks you into the music business and it makes you fall in love with it because it's such a challenge. It's like, it really gets in your blood. It gets in your blood like almost like crime. Like you could never shake it. You could never have a straight job.
Yeah.
You're always going to be immersed in that, I guess, career. And it's just these little victories that, it's a team effort and everyone celebrates these tiny little wins. And it really is the entire team. My job is simply to sing, and my job is simply to, do my best.
Yeah.
Like being a hockey player, you shoot, you score every night. Just get out there on the ice and give it all you can. That's just one person's job, and there's so many other jobs that go along with it. And it's just, I've just been really lucky. It's just been so fantastic, and Bifficus just it keeps going, and
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
Like you said, it's a transformational record for so many
Yeah.
reasons, just beyond the music and the journey of the record, and then to be able to celebrate it with that release, and the three extra tunes. So we'll have to check that out too. Now you didn't stop, you kept going with music. You released a new album, and you said you hadn't done that quite in a while. It's called Champion. And I kind of threw in a line at the beginning of the show from that song Champion. But who's the champion? What's the story behind the album?
So Champion really is, it really does kind of showcase, I guess, the triumphs that I do feel, not just as a person, but as a woman. I'm in my 50s now, and I still feel like I'm just beginning many, many times over. Whether it is the beginning of a tour, whether it's the beginning of writing a record, sometimes the beginning of relationships. Um, and this record is a victory that we even put it out. It was thwarted many times. The pandemic thwarted the release. Different things sidelined it, and I just think it is a victory. And it is a record that has a lot of hope with it, because a lot of these songs are like the first single, of course. Jim is a song about betrayal, for example. It's just like everyone has a Jim in their life. It can be any name. You can use any name as a Jim. And it is a song about overcoming and emancipation, and that is a running theme in a way, throughout the record. There is a lot of songs about being wronged. There's a song called Snow Blinded, which is, not a hot towel shave can save you from a cold
Yeah.
bitch, which, doesn't really mean bitch, but, you know, nothing can save you from a cold hearted person,
Yeah.
ultimately, is the song. And so this theme is like, you really have to like pick yourself up and keep going, ultimately, is the running the running theme here. And you do, and the boxing gloves are kind of the look, because it's, we come out swinging, but also we have to keep fighting every day, for what's right, fight the good fight, but also, fight for, for our love. We have to fight for one another. We have to keep fighting, for the victory, for the little guy.
Yeah. You know what? It's a great, great album. If folks check it out, I really enjoyed it as well.
Thank you.
I love the song Champion. I do. There's
Oh,
so
thank
many,
you.
yeah, there's so many wonderful lyrics, and I love your cover as well. Look, you've said a couple of times, um, you feel like you're just beginning, or you feel like, you're just starting, and you're not. Are you, you're still out there looking for something, the next thing, or the next thing to do? Um, is that because you're not 100% satisfied with everything you've done so far, or you're just the type of person that says, I'm not done, man. I got a lot of stuff that I want to give you guys still?
Oh, I love working. I love
Yeah.
creating, and there's always more to do. There's always more to create. There's always more to yeah. There's because there's just always more to do. It's fun. We love creating. We love songwriting. Um, it's like anything. It's like anyone who draws or doodles. We love it. We'll never stop.
You just have all these points of inspiration, whatever it is that you seem to touch, whether you're overcoming some, something personal, in your life of different variety, or whether it's your music. And you've mentioned a few times, inspiring other women, and celebrating them as well. This album, and I said I like Champion. If you said to somebody, or somebody said to you, I only have time to listen to one song, which song would you let them say? Just listen to this one, please.
On this record,
Yeah,
oh, that's so hard.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, I love so many songs on this record. Um, yeah, I would, well, yeah, something I'm like, oh, let's see, I would say Champion, but then I also say Never No Never. I'm very attached to that song. I'm very attached to the second song. I'm very attached to it because I go through phases of having a favorite. Um, yeah, I would say Champion, but then I would also say Never No Never. I do love that
Okay,
song
we've got
very
a
much.
1A and a 1B, and they're interchangeable.
Yeah, they
Okay, that's
are.
good.
Yeah, they
Look,
are. And
man.
they're also both remixes.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and I love the remixes
Yeah.
too. I love the dance remixes.
Um, that's awesome that we've got the originals, we've got the remixes.
Yeah.
It's an exciting album. You're touring, you're back in Toronto. Look, did I don't know if I've missed anything because I had so many questions and so many fan questions. So look, I'll do this. I want to thank you for being here because I know I do this all the time. I take up a lot more time than everybody says, okay, we'll do it for this. And then I just ask so many questions. So I'm sorry for that. But thank you for being here. Is there anything else that you would like to leave us with before you run away from me?
No, I really appreciate your time and thank you so much for arranging this. I know it was daunting. I'm glad that we finally were able to do it and I really appreciate it. I hope we can do it again.
Yay, I would look forward to that. That is Bif Naked, who bears it all in her book, music, and on stage live. She may be coming to play near you any day now, and in your moment of weakness, she's not only a girl, but a super beautiful monster. Look, don't wait for the spaceman and don't stay in your lane or you'll be raging inside. Cure your twitch and go see our Canadian champion. I'll have Biff's links in the show notes. You can check it all out. Thanks, Biff. Take care. And I look forward to catching up again.
Me too. Bye.